as the co-founder of one of the hottest CRMs in the market, would you say that it's important for a brand to have a sound and robust CRM strategy?
Yes, I would say so. It depends a bit. No, I think everybody actually. I'm just thinking it through all while
So,
we're chatting. But I think if you are a company who has more than, let's say, 5 to 10 customers, it's good to keep track of things in a bit more organized way, because you cannot do it based on your brains anymore. If you're a tiny company, it doesn't make sense. But if you cross beyond that, whether you're B2B or B2C, it's good to really keep track of customer relationships, because otherwise you don't remember what you sold to whom, when you were in touch, what these people are about, and all those kind of things. And really building these customer relationships in a way that you can offer all of these people the same experience as when you would have only one customer, let's say, that they feel unique, they feel well treated, they feel like, there's actually a relationship going on. That's what a customer relationship management system helps with. When you can build your own thing if you want an Excel sheet or stuff. But for instance, we are a company specializing in this, so we obviously have more time to spend on creating something good. But that's a bit up to you what kind of system you use. But yeah, at least you need some system.
so most people are of the opinion that a CRM is best used only when it is, a business-to-business company and when they will attract sales. And that's really what the opinion is in the market. Would you agree with that, or do you have a different point of view on that one?
No, like I just said. By the way, we are a B2B sales CRM company. We focus on that because we just think that's what we do best. And if we make it both for B2B and B2C, it starts muddying the interface. It just makes it less easy to use, because we need to allow all kinds of different relationships in the software, and it just makes it more complex. But I don't think that B2C companies have no need for a CRM. Just the opposite. I actually think that in B2C companies you often have way more customer relationships. You might not be able to find the same depth because you don't have the same depth of relationship. You don't talk to all of them and stuff.
No, that's fair.
But you still need to keep track of the relationship.
Yeah, exactly. So that was my question. So I mean, but it is important from, let's say that you're starting up a small e-commerce venture, right? And eventually, don't you think that a CRM would benefit someone like that as well?
Yeah, definitely. And then you need a whole other type of CRM than if you're in B2B sales. So don't just type best CRM into Google or something. Actually go look for something that is built for e-commerce. And that applies also if you're looking for a CRM to power your sales. Look for a B2B sales CRM or something. But there's a lot of CRMs out there, all built for a specific purpose, and there's a lot of good e-commerce CRMs out there. And
the point of having this conversation really is to educate marketers in India as to what, how is it that you would look at a CRM in the first place? I mean, it's not a new concept, but as you would know, I mean, no one would know better than you. The market is so cluttered right now that literally the first 10 searches on Google on when you try to search for what's the best CRM to use, you would have 10 different results coming up, right? So
yeah.
So it's obviously to each it's his own sort of comfort level with the software, the type of customization that goes into sort of using the sales funnel, etc. But I think that second answer was really important.
Well, actually, we're obviously a CRM company, but we use the CRM from the moment when we started having our first chats. You're going to do customer interviews, and you want to understand what these people want, and whether you already scheduled a talk with them or not, and whether they were actually interested to then hear more after the chat. From then on, you already need a CRM, because those are valuable relationships that you're building up at that point. You might not even be selling yet.
Absolutely.
But you're building towards sales.
The technology landscape is sort of evolving by the second. It's not even like by the day, right? And obviously, do you think that it's become easier for brands and companies to reach out to the right set of audiences, or is there too much clutter in the market right now? And personally, you as a marketer, I mean, if you were the head of a marketer, what is it that you would do to reach out to the right set of people?
So if you want to break through the clutter, that's exactly what I would do. I would reach out to the right set of people. The main issue right now is there's a bit too much spray and pray going on, where people just mass email or mass show ads to everyone. While it's extremely important to be very specific about who you want to reach, and then get even more specific than that, because that's the best way to make your marketing or sales or whatever pay off. And there's definitely more and more possibilities to do that in a better way. Obviously, if you do some sort of ads or so, the targeting possibilities are getting better and better. But also, if you're doing B2B sales, you can buy quite specific lists of leads nowadays. There's lots of services out there where you can drill down really deeply, get the exact right people that look like customers you already have or the exact people you want to target, and then target those. And don't target everyone, because that's only going to blow up in your face. You're going to spend a lot of money, and in the case, for instance, of emailing, you might get blocked for spam because these people are not interested, right? So they're going to be like, what is this? And it will have a negative effect on you in the long run.
So what would you say the top 3 platforms today that any marketer should be well acquainted with?
In very general, it's probably Facebook, Google, and LinkedIn. Every company will have a much more specific set of platforms where it makes sense to focus. You might want to advertise on things like Quora, maybe even Twitter ads work for you.
What is it that's working for you right now, if I were to ask you that?
We mainly get leads from word of mouth first, so that's making our customers happy, basically. Then a lot of it comes through review sites and Google as well. Advertising on Google is quite expensive, so we rather focus on being visible in these search results that appear.
Sure.
Which is review sites and all kinds of blogs and stuff. And then third, SEO is something that's really, really growing for us. It takes a while as an investment, just like word of mouth from customers. It's not something that happens overnight. But we write all kinds of articles around specific things that our software solves, and then people look for instance, they look for how do I send a mass email, and then they find an article from us, and we explain how you do it, and it ends up to be with Salesflare, obviously, at some point. But then people are like, oh, I should try this thing, and then they sign up for a trial, they use it, and in the end they subscribe.
So, I mean, are you employing any micro-influencers right now to sort of drive, let's say, traffic, or using them in a way to sort of influence customers for you?
We have an affiliate program, and we sometimes do webinars together with people and things like that. We also have these blog posts that I talked about where we...
So how has the pandemic changed your outlook towards the way that you're operating? I mean, has it been a significant difference to sort of work from home than, the time that you were working together collaboratively? If so, what are the two, good things or the bad things from that?
Towards customers, not much has really changed. We have customers all over the world. We have customers in India, we have customers in the US, Canada, the UK, all over Europe, Australia. So, I mean, we wouldn't go to customers. It's also, they're small customers, so it would make sense to fly. We have like a bit over 2,000 customers. I would be in the plane all day selling to them, I guess. That doesn't make sense. But we have had to change things internally. Because we believe very much in being in the same place. As a way of making it easier to work together, because you're in the same place, it's easier to communicate, you hear things. What we figured though when we started working from home about a year ago is that actually a lot of that assumption was wrong, because we were relying to a certain extent on, let's say, accidental communication.
Sure.
You would hear something, and it wouldn't be organized, wouldn't be systematic. And when we went remote, like we all started working from home, we had to revise a lot of things. I think in the first 2-3 months, we changed so much about the way we communicate internally. To give you a few tips on what we learned, but if you type remote team Salesflare into Google, I think you'll find an article about it as well.
Sure.
A good one is at the end of each meeting, we reserve 10 minutes nowadays to write up announcements.
Perfect. Okay.
So we keep the meetings limited, first of all, because we notice that if you're like more than 3 in a meeting, usually only 3 are actually in the meeting and the 2 others are not participating in the discussion anyway. They're just like hanging around. So we keep the meetings limited, but that means then also that people might not know what's being discussed in a meeting. We take elaborate notes on everything that's discussed, everything that we decide to do, everything that we decide not to do is like a Google Doc bullet point style. Every single thing that we discuss is in there. So we're typing during the meeting. It's also a way of converging when you're typing, converging on what you discuss. But then at the end of the meeting, as I was about to say, we reserve about 10 minutes to make an even more concise summary of what we discussed and what we decided. We basically think through the question, like, what is it that the others in the team should know about what we discussed in this meeting? We write that down, we agree on it, and then we put it in Slack, which is our internal communication platform. Everybody can read the small summary. If they want more, they can click through to the document, and they can know everything that was discussed, but at least they are up to date on what they need to know. That's one thing that made us so much more effective when it comes to meetings and making sure everybody knows everything.
Sure. So do you use some sort of a document management system or some sort of something like a Confluence or Jira or something like that to keep track of all of this?
This is Google Docs, but for issues and stuff, development, we have GitHub. We keep all our issues and all in that, and if we project manage that's nowadays with Clubhouse.
Okay.
And I don't mean the Clubhouse that is the audio platform, but I mean Clubhouse, the Trello replacement.
Last question. What of advice for marketers or advertisers, especially 2 or 3 trends that they should absolutely look out for in 2021? And any expert tips? I mean, you've given us a lot of tips to sort of cope up with the new normal. But any 2 or 3 tips or insights that marketers should be looking out for in the near future?
I would say one, podcasts. Podcasts are becoming bigger and bigger. It has been a slow rise, let's say, but there's a lot of good podcasts out there. Getting on podcasts is something I do consistently. I think I've been on about 100 podcasts in the last 6 months.
Wow.
It's a really good channel in the sense that it's very personal.
Sure.
You can really have much more of a personal relationship with someone by listening to a podcast than checking out their website, for instance. It doesn't require a whole lot of work because you can just get on and talk. So you don't need to write a long blog post or something. So it's definitely a very interesting channel, and the fact that Clubhouse now, not the Trello replacement, but the audio social media is so popular is just a confirmation that podcasts also are a new medium which is only going to grow.
Okay.
Secondly, I would say I'm selecting now. I honestly, we focus much more on sales trends, of course, but picking the marketing stuff, I would say other sorts of types of collaborations is something to definitely explore in 2021. Okay. Like e-commerce and people buying and all that. Things have gone way more online, but people also do even more than before. They do research online. So it's good to spend focus on that. Make sure that you're findable in all kinds of places, that you have good reviews, that you build out sort of a platform in that way, rather than leaving it to chance.
Sure.
I would say spend a bit of effort, ask customers for some reviews, because I think this is only becoming stronger. And then third, I'll make it a bit salesy, like about sales anyway. I think that the blasting of emails and LinkedIn connection requests is slowly going to reach its peak. Yeah, I think from here people get so annoyed that it's going to tip into the other direction, where it's only the ones that that really try to make a connection and don't sell anything right away that are going to be successful, because people are just sick of all the stuff they get. They've reached a sort of a point where I even see some people saying, I'm closing my LinkedIn account because I'm getting so much crap.
Oh, what is the alternative? I think, how do you then reach out to someone that you really want to talk to? That's more the question, because I get what you're saying. Today the average person who's at a level to take a decision for a company would probably get like 100 requests a day, right? Mm-hmm. That can be really annoying. But how, other than that, I mean, see, there's no physical intervention anymore. Offices are shut for the next 6 months. So how do you see people reaching out to them? Is email the only way left now, or?
I do think LinkedIn connection requests work, but you cannot lead with a sell, and you need to focus more on building relationships than on selling. I think you got a connection request from me because you started a trial on our software.
Absolutely.
I offered to help.
No, absolutely. That's a different equation altogether, right? So that's when we're only working together. But let's assume that for 1 second it was the other way around, and I was approaching you to help you with marketing and advertising solutions, right? So obviously, you have a more productivized sort of system where, people will come in and buy stuff, and then you sort of get connected to them. But let's talk about us for a second. We're an agency today, and then if we have to reach out to a brand manager, right, and we don't know this person personally, and also added to that, it's the pandemic situation right now. There's no way that you're going to go in and wait in his office and probably, get a glimpse of him and say hi to him, right? So there has to be a way in which you probably use some other alternate form of getting connected with that person whom you think is going to eventually give you business. So what is it that you think are those one or two things that will help me do that more effectively?
What you could do, for instance, is what you're doing with me now, but then offer people that, say like, hey, you're a brand manager there. I have this new blog and podcast, and I would like to hear your opinion on where things are going. We'll feature you on there. I don't know what, we have that many listeners. And then you reach out to them. You have this chat. It creates a personal relationship because you actually have a chat and you're interested in them. You'll talk somewhere about what you do, and you'll have that connection. And if they need what you're selling, or you may be a bit after, you can chat about that. So you have a potential customer.
Zoom is the new reality, right? At this point in time, or some sort of a virtual conferencing way is what the new normal is, if you'd like to say it that way.
Yeah, I think Zoom is. Zoom was there before the pandemic. I used it all the time.
Okay.
Now it's only more and more people accept it, so it's just easier than ever to have a meeting with people, even if you're not in the same place. And it's super easy to record it, so why not do something with that?
I think perfect, Lauren, and thank you so much for all of these insights.
If you think it through holistically,
yeah,
and you think like, okay, so you want to sell to people, right? Secondly, the people that you're connected with should see interesting content. And third, on the long run, maybe you can even get traffic for the articles that you've been creating.
Yes.
And you need to think through like, okay, what are the topics that people would look for that are related to my business?
Sure.
You think through these keywords. You then go check like what is it that people are looking for exactly when they type these keywords. You map that out, and then you start matching the things. You're like, okay, there's this topic on Google Ads for a specific whatever, and then you see like, could I interview one of these people on that? Then do that, have the interview, create a transcript.
Sure.
And then you have an article, and it's very easy. You don't have to spend a whole lot of time,